Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Her Side of the Ruck, proudly sponsored by Hook and Flanker. I'm Tash,
I'm Bernice.
and we're not pundits.
We're just two women who know what a ruck is.
Well, wins for France, Scotland, and Ireland see them in the top half of the table. Now we head into the break in the Men's Six Nations, and pretty woeful performance from England. Italy kind of stuck in the fight, but they seem to be a first half team. And Wales were so close in that game against Scotland. And we'll be answering a big question of, was it Wales who lost it or Scotland who actually won that game? We'll be discussing all on this episode of Her Side of the Ruck. But let's start with England v Ireland. I'm going to start by saying all the things that we said in our tournament preview episode were founded on the basis of how good they were in the summer tour against Argentina, their performances in the Autumn Nations series against top tier teams like the All Blacks, and Argentina again, especially after Argentina had put performance like they did against Scotland and how they'd beaten the British and Irish Lions before they go on their tour down under in Dublin. So all of my opinions were founded based on that evidence. But now I feel slightly foolish, Bernice, but I didn't think they would combust like this because I don't think there's any other word for it. But credit to Ireland, they were really up for it. I'm wearing my Guinness jersey in honour of an Irish win. Congratulations to the Irish because they were fantastic. But what were your thoughts on that game of the week at the weekend?
Yeah, obviously, I immediately thought of you and I was just like, no, Tash is definitely not doing well. But yeah, I was super surprised last week. And all over socials, if you've been following us, we do prediction videos every week and it kind of went south this week.
Yeah, it
But
did, didn't it?
who expected Ireland to actually win? I know obviously Ireland fans would say like, yeah, they probably stood behind their team, but I genuinely thought that's why I was backing England because I
Mm.
genuinely thought they were going to win. So I was very taken back by not only the result, but the way that England were playing on the day. So last week that we spoke about what Ireland would need to do to win this week, and we placed a lot of emphasis on the physical battle and how Ireland will need to be physical in order for them to win. And I think that's exactly what Ireland did. So even though we
Yeah.
predicted England to win, we did mention there are a few things that Ireland will need to do in order to actually come out on top. And I think that's where Ireland won the match, was in the physical collisions and just like their breakdowns. And that's something that we also mentioned previously.
100%. They were so much more clinical in the 22. They were effective in attack and they stamped their dominance on this match. It felt a little bit like a revenge game for 2 years ago when the Marcus Smith drop goal just inched England the win. It's a record margin for the Irish in London. Like that, and given that they received quite a lot of criticism from ourselves included about being an aging squad, not introducing young blood, the switch to Crowley at 10, that is the right
Oh,
choice by Farrell. Why on earth he didn't do that earlier? No hate to Sam Prendergast, I just don't think he's ready at the minute. Crowley totally is. James Gibson Park he is an older scrum half, but you wouldn't tell in that game. He was up for it. The energy levels were right. I just think that Farrell had got the Irish side emotionally ready for this game. And after their
mm,
performance against France, Andy Farrell got them to confront it. The only person who I think, given what I've listened to in the media, was Kevin Sinfield, who got the English side to try and confront it. And they failed really quite miserably at doing that. And it's just such a shame. This team where you have seen the skill come off before just didn't. And it's really sad. I am going to say, is it? I'm trying to give a silver lining to quite a horrible situation. Have they done this on purpose to make people underestimate them going into the Rugby World Cup?
oh,
Because England were third in the world rankings, and then the
mm,
pools got drawn. So then after that, like the rankings, they matter, but they don't affect the pool stages now for the Rugby World Cup. So England
mm.
were like, right, we've got that to work for. But then they've kind of dropped off. And is this because they want teams to underestimate them so they come and hit them hard in the Rugby World Cup? Or is it just because they don't have they didn't have a platform to beat Scotland last week, and they didn't have the platform to beat Ireland this week. Potentially a mixture of the two. I'm trying to offer a different positive spin because all of the
Mm.
commentary from English supporters has been incredibly dismal, and I totally understand why. Blimey, like it's just not been a good 2 weeks for men's English rugby. Let's just say the Red Roses are carrying the flag for English rugby at the minute in terms of success because England men have just seemed to have completely dropped off a cliff. I know that England fans are mad, disappointed,
Mm.
confused. I completely feel all of those emotions, and I was grateful that I was actually working to a match as the England game
Oh.
kicked off because I just saw the score and I thought, Christ, I'm not going to watch this replay, but I did, and I think it would be very easy for people to point fingers.
Mm.
That's often the case. The media narrative around it is like, we've got to blame George Ford, we've got to blame Marrow that he's not fit, we've got to blame
Mm.
Freddie Stewart for playing the nine when he didn't need to. Yes, those things all may be true at the same time, but those are three players that I've used as an example who have proven themselves time and again to be very good for England. Like Freddie was very good in the summer series, and yes, he's come under criticism a lot for I suppose, lacking in his attacking game, but I've seen him work on it at a lot of club level. He is phenomenal under the high ball. You just had key playmakers in basically every position not play a good game. There was no synergy, and Ireland capitalised on that, and they were the far better team.
It's interesting because I think England had a whole recipe and they were kind of set up for success for this match. If you looked at like what happened in the Scotland match, they're coming off from not a great loss. It's Murray's 100th match. They're playing at Twickenham. Like
Mm,
everything were kind of in the favor of England or, set up in such a way that they should win the match. So I was
totally.
just as taken back by the result. And I mean, you have to give credit to Ireland, and you said it in the beginning, Ireland were completely up for the match. And I think it's like, what do you think is it about these 2 weeks that where things didn't quite go right for England? Because I mean, we've seen how Ireland have been playing and the way that they have been playing against Italy and France, like they
Mm.
have also not really been up for their matches in the Six Nations, and they weren't even really in the running, coming into it in terms of predictions from the media and the bookies to, actually be in competition to take the Six Nations. So what do you think is it?
I think because the defensive positioning wasn't rightly placed
Mm.
on this occasion, and England, for some reason, have had this tactic of kicking the ball away quite a lot. Now, when
Mm.
we'll come on to the France-Italy game, but when France box kick, they box kick with intent, and then their backline press forward. England don't seem to
Mm.
do that anywhere near as much. I don't know if that's because the players aren't as fast. If it's an issue to do with fitness, well, I'm sorry, that's not an excuse because at international level, you should be picking a squad that is fit enough to play. And if they're not fit enough to play, something needs to happen in the training camps leading
Yeah.
up to the match. You can't say it's rugby fatigue because we've spoken about Ireland's rugby fatigue plenty of times on this channel from the British and Irish Lions tour into now. And look how they performed at the weekend compared to England. The energy levels I don't think were right. I don't think it's a fueling issue. Like I don't think it's a nutritional issue because England rugby have a top class nutritionist.
Mm.
I think
Yeah.
it's a mental issue plus the game plan. We've seen Borthwick's game plans work in other scenarios, but against Scotland and Ireland, they do not work. We do the same thing every single time. And England were, again, I'm sounding quite brutal, but they were scrambling. I'm sure we've both seen on previous
Mm.
occasions where England looked composed, calm, in control. There was none of that in the past 2 weeks. And basic execution wasn't done. Like 14 handling errors, 24 turnovers conceded, 28 tackles missed, albeit Ireland missed 29 tackles, but they were far more clinical in attack. It takes them 3 to 4 phases to score a try and just move England's defence. As for England, it would take 8 to 9 phases of attack to score a try.
Mm.
They're almost putting way too much effort into attack without a successful platform of it coming off. And I don't know if that's because we're seeing a lot more teams now playing that wide ball. We saw it in Scotland's comeback against Wales, which we'll get onto. France do it all the time. We've seen the box do it quite a lot against opposition, depending on who plays at the 9 and 10 combo. But to open up the wingers, you need to have that wide ball. And we've seen Fordy do it to Arundel in the first round against Wales, albeit Wales were poor in that first round. It's disappointing because there are quite a few variables that are all going wrong at the same time and then leading to this performance. You're lost by 21 points. And I think, okay, to get 21 points, given how poorly they played, how many yellow cards they got in that game, silver linings, but it's still not good enough. It's not good enough for a team that had been ranked third in the world coming into this tournament, and it is such a shame. The line out capitulated too, and that was one of England's strongest suits. I'm thankful the scrum didn't completely capitulate, so at least that's something to go on. But Luke Cowan-Dickie, I had a bit of a shocker. I think he's great all around the park, but you can't have a hooker who can't throw a line out. And it's again, it's basic skills not executed well. Sorry, I feel like I've just completely rambled and ranted. I'm going to be positive. Ireland were amazing. They had some great standout performances. Robert Balakoon, how phenomenal has he been? Creating try assist, scoring tries, really quick on the gain line. Like, he's just phenomenal. I put a couple of his tries on the screen for the weekend and try assist because he was beautiful to watch as well. Stuart McCluskey, the way that he chased down Marcus Smith, I think he put Smith to shame a little bit there, given Smith is this very bouncy, vibrant character again. But I think that's because Ireland, sorry, seems so up to it, as England didn't seem up to the task, unfortunately. And I've already mentioned Gibson Park. I thought his work around the breakdown, around the ruck, the speed of ball, he set the platform for that quick phase of play. So there's plenty of other Irish players I could call out and say had good games. Ty Burn always has a phenomenal game. He's kind of that regular player you can rely on to do a good job. Even in Ireland's poor performance against France, he was the light that shone in that squad. So there needs to be a huge rebuild for England. There really does. Is a week long enough to do it? Well, Ireland have seemed to have rebuilt over 2 weeks, but it's poor. It's so poor for England. So I am feeling quite sad, and I just hope that we can have something to reconcile us going into the fixture against Italy, because France away will be hard, and then after that, the next game we face are the Box. It's not filling with me with a lot of hope, Bernice, which is very different to how I felt about 3 weeks ago. Wales v Scotland. Wales put up a valiant performance, but lose by 3 points to Scotland, 23-26. As I said at the top of the show, is this a case of Wales losing the game or Scotland coming back and winning it? What are your thoughts?
Wow, you got a feel for Wales. I felt so bad when I saw the scoreline because I watched the replay of the match and kept watching the score on my phone, and I was like, what? No, this like Wales is actually like they're leading at halftime and it's a
I know.
proper lead. And I got so excited. I mean, yeah, just because of the way that it's been going with Wales, and obviously it's no secret that Wales have not been performing well. And I was rooting for them. I was just like,
Yeah,
I
me
really
too.
hope that they can actually win. So yeah, you got to feel for Wales. And afterwards, when I watched their faces, like the players' faces, I felt devastated for them because you're
Mm,
so close, but you're so far. And I think it's a bit of both in terms of Scotland winning the match and coming back and showing resilience, and Wales losing the match. But I think it is
yeah.
very much the latter, where Wales losing the match, because I think if you're ahead by that far. I feel like it's not a big margin, especially in rugby. There's a lot that can happen in an 80-minute game. But I think for Wales, that is a big margin to lead by. And I think the Darcy Graham try was a
It was
really
lovely.
big turning point in the match, and it was
Yeah,
great
it
to
was.
watch. I mean, it was
Mm,
amazing, kicked by Finn Russell. But Wales would be very disappointed with this one because they could have won the match. And it's so heartbreaking because you always say rugby is an 80-minute game. But I
mm,
think Wales really gave it their all. Like it almost felt to me like they couldn't give any more. Yes, there were a few discipline issues again, and something that we've spoken about in the past that is Wales' kryptonite is their poor discipline,
yes.
which usually comes back to bite them. But I think Wales will not feel like winners. And even though,
Mm-mm.
you know, I was trying to look at it from a positive point of view and trying to find the positives for Wales, but the only way that they could feel like, okay, this was an improvement is if they'd actually won the match, just because of the circumstances and how it panned out. I do think if you look back at this performance and if you look back at other performances, we've been saying that Wales should start small by improving their discipline, which they have done. I think they only got
Yeah,
like one yellow card, if I'm not mistaken. And they walk away with a losing bonus point, which
yeah.
is
It's
it
bittersweet.
doesn't make yeah. I don't think it makes Wales fans or Wales feel better. But yeah, I think that the only way they would feel like they'd improve is if they'd win the match.
I did find myself going Wales a little bit. I was walking
Yeah.
out of Mattioli Woods, Welford Road, that game because I went to watch the Prem Cup game. Leicester Tigers were playing after I'd finished working the match before then. But yeah, I just think that Wales threw it away a little bit, and I'm sure
Mm,
Steve Tandy's
maybe.
probably given them a bit of the hairdryer treatment. As you've said about the small wins, the atmosphere at the Principality, Welsh rugby
Mm,
fans were on their feet. They were
yeah.
cheering, they were shouting, and Welsh rugby has missed that. So the boys in red
Mm,
definitely did give their country something to fight for, especially for
yeah.
45 to 50 minutes. But Scotland came back, and I think you have to put a lot of it down to the forward pack setting up the platform for Finn Russell to just go full on maverick. So the first try was scored by Kyle Steyn, but it was set up by the forwards out to Russell, who holds the ball, passes outside to Kinghorn, who spreads it wide to Staino, kind of easy for the running. But without Russell just reading the gameplay, that try probably wouldn't have happened in the way that it did. Their second try, again, the forwards aren't really gaining momentum. They're kind of being stopped by Wales, so good for the Welsh side for remaining strong in
Mm,
short range. But they've dragged the defenders in. And you see Russell pointing behind his back going right, and then you see Kinghorn drift to the right. The ball comes out to Russell, and Kinghorn is there in support on the outside, but Russell finds the gap himself and he scores. The third try to Darcy Graham, as you've already mentioned, comes from that kick, and Graham just runs it in. And he is not the most powerful winger in the sense of he's a big guy, but man is he quick. He's so fast. So all of those examples show how good Finn can be. And when Finn is performing amazing, even if it's for the final 30 minutes, Scotland can still claw it back. As we said time and again, when Scotland lose results, it's often because the 10 isn't performing to the best standard that we know he can be. And Finn was blowing hot in that final 30 and Wales capitulated. Although despite having a good lead, and they took the right points, I think, in terms of kicking for posts. I thought Reece Carey's try was fantastic. I think he had a good game last week and he's had a good game this week. So yeah, there's some glimpses of nuggets of fabulous work here and there. It's not the
mm.
gold mine it needs to be. It's these little gold nuggets that you find, but they still need to keep digging in the gold mine, don't they? So it's the best performance from Wales what we've seen in recent years, but is it also been followed by one of the worst performances that they just kind of lost it again? Another team that
Mm.
combusted in one way or another. It did feel like the Wales lost it as well as Scotland coming back, but I think Wales lost it more than Scotland won it, despite everything that I've said
Mm.
about Finn. Russell pulled the strings 100%, and he showed his class. I thought the rest of the Scotland team were good, and they adapted well in the second half after what was quite a poor first half.
Yeah, and I think you took the words right out of my mouth. When Finn Russell performs, then Scotland performs. And we've often seen how when Finn Russell performs, then Scotland actually win their matches. So it's insane, and the impact that he had again this weekend when he's on song, like he's really good. But I also made a few notes about, where Scotland kind of went wrong in the first half and what I think they did right in the second half.
Mm.
So I think in the first half they conceded field possession way too easily. I just think Wales exploited their defense very well in the first half. And I mean, you could tell by Wales actually leading on the scoreboard how they actually exploited Scotland's defense. They won the key collisions, which I think is important against a team like Scotland, even though they they focus a lot on their attack. They are a team with a strong forward pack. And then in the second half, I just think it was a lot of it had to do with Finn Russell. Like a lot of their success in the latter half of the game had to do with Finn Russell. And I think that's just where you can see a team that knows kind of winning ways. I know, we've spoken a lot about Scotland and their
Mm.
performance over the past few weeks, but they were composed. I thought their game management was really good, not only by Finn Russell, but the whole team. They were just more composed than Wales and they could close out the game. So I think their finishing were a lot better there compared to Wales. But yeah, I think Wales would really look back at this match and just go, this is one that we should have won.
Oh yeah, there are signs of improvement, but that loss has
Yeah.
got to hurt. There's no way of putting it any differently.
Yeah.
Because if you're a Welsh fan, you're probably thinking we were so close, but yeah, as you've already said, yet so far. But a team who is flying high, flying on top, is the French, and they continue their winning run with a 33-8 scoreline over Italy. This is, however, the lowest points France have scored in the competition so far. And I know that seems a bit ridiculous. 33 points doesn't seem like few points to score at all. So it is a testament to how Italy stuck in the fight for sure. And as we've reiterated many times on the channel, Italy are this improving team. But France look unstoppable.
It's insane. I just, every time I watch France play, I watch them play in awe. And I do think this was probably from all of their performances in the competition so far, I think this was not their base.
Mm,
There were a lot of sloppiness in the first half and a few handling errors, etc. So I don't think it was a perfect performance and a few unforced errors. But I think despite that, France is really showing their depth and their finishing ability. I mean, the tries that they are scoring, the vision from Dupont and the way that he kicks the ball to BLBRA, that guy is so quick. Like
so
his pace is
quick.
insane. Like when I see him run, I'm just like, no, he's definitely scoring the try. He's lightning
100%.
fast. He's just insane. Fabian Gaultier to actually, select Thomas Ramos at 10 and not Matthew Jalibert. And Jalibert has been performing so well over
Mm,
the last 2 weeks and he's improved so much as a player. It just shows the depth that France have. I mean,
yeah.
we've also seen it with Pinot's absence and the wingers that Gaultier has selected. I mean, they've been amazing. It's not like you're missing either of these players. Like they step up just as good as the previous player, which is
Yeah.
not often that you get to see that. Usually one player is by far better than the other player, or, there's a clear experience gap between the two or whatever. But for France, it's insane. And the depth that they are building, I mean, we had a lot of questions around the squad selections and how young the team is or how inexperienced the team is. And so far, all they've done is proven us wrong. But
100%.
I have to say that I think Italy were also kind of their own worst enemies in this match.
Yes. Yeah.
They had three opportunities in the first half. They couldn't capitalize. It was silly errors. And I thought, Shema, I actually really felt bad for Louis Lineup, but I think he did not have his best match over the weekend. Few errors, yellow card. And I think we were so excited to see the matchup between him and BLBRA. France just makes it look so easy.
They really do. I think what we've also seen from France is the ambition, how ambitious they are. I think Jalabert had a knock. I think I saw something about him being unavailable for selection, so that may explain
Mm,
why Ramos was at 10.
yeah.
I mean, 10 to fullback, we often see that as kind of a
Mm,
utility back
yeah.
position. We've seen that a lot across club and country. A lot of them. Tom Jordan's an example of someone who could do it for Scotland too. But Ramos is class. Like his
Mm.
kicking, he rarely misses at all. The ambition in attack is amazing. And also, France almost expect for people to make handling errors. So that's why you see them
Mm.
press so far up. And when you've got Biel Barret, who in another life he was a cheater in an animal kingdom because there's no other explanation for him being so quick. He's just, as soon as he wants to run,
Insane.
he's off, isn't he? So when another team makes a mistake, like a handling error, which pretty much every team has made key handling errors in the Six Nations in
Mm.
this competition so far. It must be nerves, surely. Because how can you get to be an international rugby player when you make consistent handling errors? Like, anyway, so France kind of push further up and they attack, and they are so ruthless with it, and they make it work. Yeah, it wasn't the best performance from either team, but France were still overall more consistent, more ambitious with
Yeah.
their attacking play. France's first try comes from Italy not gathering in the aerial battle, and no one was stopping Louis Biel-Barré from scoring that try. The third try comes from Italy failing to gather the line out, and it's not gathered cleanly by either team, but Louis Biel-Barré kind of kicks it. It's a bit of a duff kick, but it works and is picked up by Emmeline Galeton. Sorry if I got that wrong. But he runs it downfield, sets up the platform, throws the ball back inside, and it was another amazing try. And France just looked like, you know how some people, when they get angry, they see red. When France get the
Mm.
ball, they just see the try line. That's what France are like at the minute. Italy do look like they're more of a first half team because in all three rounds of the Six Nations this year, they score the majority, if not all of their points in the first half compared to the second half. Now, if I was Gonzalo coaching them, I would think, not that I would be, imagine me being a head coach of an international rugby team. It would never happen. Maybe head of comms, but not not a head
Either
coach.
way.
We'll see, we'll see. Anyway, you would think, what is happening to my players on the pitch in that second 40? Is it to do with the changing room chat? Is
Mm.
it to do with fitness? Is it to do with something else? I think this competition will show Italy that they've been great and more consistent, really good in the first 40, second 40, not so much. I think it will take a very special team to beat France.
I think France are just playing with so much confidence at the minute. I mean, they have the leeway and obviously they have the confidence from their head coach to, whether it's forced changes due to injuries or whatever, but they have the confidence from Fabian Gaultier to go, okay, we are experimenting with our squad. We're giving younger players an opportunity to experience international rugby. And I mean, what better time to do it than in the Six Nations? I mean, if you look back, you'd say, no, 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 this is not the time to experiment with players. But I think he's got the balance between experienced players and inexperienced players so right. I don't know what he's been doing behind the scenes because this is obviously not something that's just, happen overnight and they all just click. Because usually if you include new players in the squad, there's a bit of jitters or there's just
Yeah,
a bit of, the synergy is not really there. But with him, if you don't know the French players, you wouldn't think that there are changes every other week in the
no,
squad because
no.
it feels like everyone slots in so nicely. It also feels like everyone is so confident in what they need to do on the field. Everyone knows exactly what they should be doing and what their job is. I think they are playing with such confidence, and I think it slots in nicely with what you said about the handling errors. Every team makes handling errors, but they just feel so confident recovering from it because they have the backing of their style of play. And I think they have a lot of cool heads and leadership from players like Dupont and Thomas Ramos. They
Yeah.
just really keeps the team composed, and I think that's exactly what they need going forward.
We've got a break in the men's Six Nations this week. It's a 1 week break instead of a 2 week break like it was last year. So we'll see how the teams regroup and what happens in the
Mm.
final 2 weeks. But in the meantime, we've got club rugby returning. The URC is back for 1 week as a little break. So if you are wondering what to do with your weekend, then you can watch the URC because we will be. And later on this week, we'll be giving a recap of what happened in the previous round, looking forward ahead to this round, especially given there's a lot of international players out and they won't be featuring with their clubs in the URC this weekend. There
Mm.
could be some really big upsets and surprises, and potentially a lot of capitalisation from the South African teams that have not been as affected as the Northern Hemisphere teams. But we'll give a rundown on that later on in the week. That's all we've got time for on this episode of Her Side of the Ruck. Thank you so much for watching and being with us. If you're new to the channel, hit the like button and subscribe. Also, if you're not new to the channel, hit the like button. We always appreciate your positive feedback. If you have any thoughts on round 3 of the Men's Six Nations or the competition in general, let us know in the comments section. But that's all we've got time for now on Her Side of the Ruck. Signing off is me, Tash.
Signing off is me, Bernice.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.